Everybody now agrees that AI agents are the future of work. Almost nobody can tell you when they figured out what an agent actually is. For us, it happened in our inbox in June 2025.
The way that you use AI every day at work is about to change a lot. I want to talk about the moment that we realized that, because it completely changed the course of the company. There was one moment, it was about a year ago, mid 2025. Every once in a while you do something and you just get absolutely hit over the head with, feedback, or in this case, just the way that people responded to it and their actual behavior. So the feature was something that a bunch of apps have experimented with or done. And we did it in a way we thought was like super space age, but in retrospect was like very basic. It was just a daily morning briefing, okay? And it had like a default prepare me for my day set of instructions. And people would get this email. And we thought, okay, power users are going to realize that they can edit the instructions and customize it. And then maybe someday we'll also have like a library of these daily schedules that people could use, like adorable, actually adorable, thinking about how excited we were. And it wasn't that long ago. The world is like such a different place. So we send these briefings out and everybody replied to the email, not with feedback, okay, but with questions and coaching and instructions. And we thought, okay, sure, this might come up, but like, it's sort of an edge case and we can figure that out if somebody happens to reply to one of these. Oh no, everybody replied to these emails and they just went to a distribution list to like pretty much everybody at the company. So we just started getting these replies about like, that's closed won. That's not an op. I'm not talking to them. And so one dude in particular was just replying and replying and replying. And I reached out to him and just said, hey, totally get that you expect to be able to reply to these things. We don't have that yet. We're figuring it out. We'll do something here. But for now, you can stop replying to these.
He didn't. He did not stop replying. He replied the next day, and he replied again the day after that, and he wasn't the only one.
It taught us something really interesting, which is the way that people expect to interact with the AI, an agent, when they go to a chat app is totally different from what they expect when the agent reaches out to them over Slack or email or whatever, CCs them in Linear or has a comment in Salesforce. We actually want to interact with that agent as though they're a human. This is just immediately our first thought.
Yeah, engineering decided to tackle this, which meant Will was going to tackle this. And it's actually an interesting question, right? Like when a user responds to one of these daily briefing emails, what do they expect? And we actually got lucky because under the hood, these daily briefings are just chats. And so when a user responds to one of these chats, we just load up the thread, add a message, have the agent cook, have a generate a response, and email that back to the user. And a lot of the replies were just people asking the next question, like, oh, where else is this happening? So we load up the chat, generate the next response, send it back to the user. Architecturally, it was no big change.
Right. So people wanted to be able to respond to these things. Will knocked that out. You can go back and forth with your agent. Great. But the really common pattern that we saw was that the responses were not questions. They weren't continuing on the topic of the email. They were feedback for the agent. The aha moment was when somebody responded with, when an opportunity is closed, won, or lost, don't wait to tell me about it. I want to know in the moment. I want a full analysis. Every second matters. And when you break down that response, what they're looking for is take this out of the daily skill, create an entirely new skill, and it needs to be triggered off of the op being closed, won, or closed, lost. It needs to have this research and this analysis. That is too much configuration for us to expect a human to do. So we realized the agent needed to be able to self-configure its own skills based on feedback to meet the user's needs.
It was really clear that people just wanted to reply as though they were replying to a human. Like they already expected that they could give it direction and it would follow that direction, and pretty nuanced direction.
So this is actually an interesting data modeling problem, because when someone gives that sort of feedback, what exactly are you updating? The daily briefing is a skill, right? And you can have multiple skills, and those skills can be triggered by events, or they can run on schedules. But when you give it feedback, like always use this tone or give it to me this way, not that way, that's not a particular skill you're updating. That's actually the agent as a whole. So we had to figure out, okay, what is an agent and how do you configure it? So if you've ever used Hermes or OpenClaw, they're actually really good at taking your feedback and updating the right skill, but they weren't really made for pushing out updates to a whole team. And so the only way to solve this was to go to not where the world is right now, but where we think it will be. And so that's the state of AI right now. We have agent definitions owned by humans. So agents have skills, and they're able to create those skills and update those skills. And those skills have a pretty intuitive orchestration system. They can run on schedules, or they can run on event triggers. But this is now much less about skill templates and more about agent templates. Agents with job descriptions. Agents you can push out to members of your team. So you can push out a BDR agent to a sales rep, or a CRM data entry agent to a sales rep, or a publicity manager agent to your CEO.
And once we got that far, a lot of really incredible, obvious stuff fell out of it. Like, okay, if all these RevOps people are living in Claude Code and they're doing these GTM strategy docs, and a lot of them are actually developing skills they want to deploy out to their sellers and their CS people or the CEO, whatever. Now Day AI is actually a target to take those ideas and just deploy them. This is like the Vercel for selling agents. And that has been absolutely mind-blowing. And we never would have gotten there without this realization that the agents are how you interact with this. The big learning here was that once the agents are acting autonomously, we as humans are going to respond to them as though they were human. And that creates an opportunity to guide them and coach them and personalize that experience, which in turn, as managers, gives us the opportunity to have the humans be accountable for all of this additional work. This ends up being great, and it ends up being a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to build. It's an enormous amount of fun to roll out and to use. People love these agents and they feel ownership in the process, but they don't have to write all of this stuff, all of these instructions from scratch. They just get like a new team member, and then they can coach it and onboard it and say, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this. Or, oh yeah, there's this one document you always have to check. And yeah, do it this way, do it this way. Like, and it just gets better and better and better and better. And there's no learning curve.
Reporting to Christopher, there's a learning curve.
It's helping me up-level my management game because, you know, the AI is pretty literal, and you really have to be extremely crisp and clear about the way that you want things done, which I'm sure I am always.
I think Christopher is a great manager.
Yeah, Christopher is a great manager. He tries really hard.
He has a lot of thoughts, and he's inspiring.